Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Kev's Workshop. Yeah, you can see my fat belly sitting here. Never mind, it's better than seeing my ugly face, but never mind. My sense of humour. What we've got today is Kato Uni track points. Yes, as you can see there, that's that end. I'll flip this around, set from the opposite end. Now that is a left hand point, because from the straight you branch off to the left. So the problem I've got at the moment, these particular points have come to me for some sort of service repair work. So Davo, on the Davo channel, which is a subscription to my YouTube channel, he's brought these down to me to see if I could sort them out. This is the last of the points which are being a pain in the bum. As you can see here, I've already got those three left-handers done, plus I've completed two right-handers as well. So with these, you understand left and right hand points. For those of you who don't know, hopefully that'll understand it for you, or help you understand it. Do this without dropping the pair of them. One branches to the left, one branches to the right. That's how you know the difference. A facing point is a train coming into the point blades, whereas a trailing point is the opposite. If I get this in such a way for you. So the trailing point, you're coming out of the junction. So hopefully that'll help you understand the difference between facing and trailing, and between left and right hand points. Now these Kato Uni track points, the way they normally work, you've got the little sliding lever. I'm just going to bring this up to the camera for you. This little sliding lever up here. As you slide back, the point blade changes back. But what I want to do is show you the insides. Now it's a bit hard to see on the camera view, but there's a 6-pointed type of screw in here, and there's only a certain type of screwdriver that'll get in. Now, if I see if I can bring this on up to show you, you may or may not be able to get to see whether the light's affecting things or not. Now, move my fingers out of the way so you get a clearer view. You can sort of see the type of screw that's required. So instead of a standard Phillips head, you need a 6-pointed type of star kind of screwdriver. Now this is handy to note also. Shows you a bit of a wiring diagram for wiring point work up if you wish to do it that way as well. Now inside all this there's a solenoid for changing the points by remote, and this little recess down here is where you plug the wiring in to operate the solenoids. Because I'm finished with these 5 points, these have already been done. The one I'm about to get on to again today is one that's giving me a bit of a pain. That is, it's not doing 100% what I'm needing it to do. That is change properly. So you can see from here, if I was to change that, it hasn't changed across till now. If I change it back, so it's not changing across properly. So this is still needing some physical movement to change it. I have already had this one taken apart, and because it's still bugging the crap out of me, it acts like a what's the word? Laxative, that's the word I'm looking for. So basically, Stanley screwdrivers. Okay, camera's trying to focus, here we go. Now the set of screwdrivers that I use quite predominantly, it's a set of them. That's the packaging. As you see, I've already got 2 screwdrivers out of the set. Those are the two that I commonly keep out because I'm usually using them all the time. Now they come in different sizes, of course. So that one's a Phillips head. It might be hard for the camera to pick up. Might be hard for anyone to pick up actually. But I'm using the flat blade. Now this is the 2mm flat blade. I can get into there and undo it. Now, always an art when you take things apart. I know it's meant to rhyme. That you put them in the same sort of order so you know exactly whereabouts the screws are to return. Even if you draw it on a piece of paper and say, right, that belongs there, that belongs there. And then after you've done that, you know exactly where things are supposed to go back. If it's already been pulled apart before and you don't know if it's right or wrong, you'll soon find out. Technically, it doesn't really take too long to strip down one of these points. So I'm doing this in real time perhaps. And this little slot up here, so I'll bring this on up for you. Might be able to see that slot a little bit clearer now. That is what your wiring can run through this slot if you're going to have above board wiring. Because the points plug into here to run on remote, then basically you've got two power leads there, so there's got to be a common got to go somewhere in amongst the system. So if I take that off, there's the internals of a Kato Uni point. I'll let you just sit and study this for a moment. So to help you understand, I don't throw everything everywhere. It's kind of complicated looking, but to try to illustrate it in the best way that I can, which might not be the best, the coil sits here, runs all the way through. On each end there's a magnet which is operated on this plastic piece. As you can sort of see here, it's trying to pull that. Onto here is a switching mechanism, and that switching mechanism allows the power to run between your straight and your curve. It's only a simple mechanical rotary switch, but if I was to slide this piece, which has a tag on it, let's see if I can show you how it works. All that's doing electrically is swapping power from one track to the next, ensuring there's some sort of connectivity. At the mechanical end of it, that's all it's doing. But underneath here is this strand of wire. That's your spring, which is what moving the point. I should say is what is moving the point. Let's get this up a bit closer for you. Alright. Now I've got the camera on the tripod, but also trying to balance my belly table, which is my design. And as you see, and that slides backwards and forwards. In underneath here is a guide, which either pushes that bit of wire left or right. So if I was to just lift this one up for you without taking the coil out of the way. Oh, come on, you pain in the bum of a thing. Try it this way. There you go. As you see, if I was to move the point blades themselves, you can see that bit of wire moving. So I'm going to do it this way for you. The camera's trying to focus, so bear with it. And that's the simple action of changing the point. Now if I can do this without spilling anything, by that I mean spilling anything out of the point work itself, you might be able to see the little groove the wire sits in. Now, the sliding of this plastic piece, if I can point this out without letting everything fall out, in here, getting the light on this subject for you is not necessarily the easiest for me at the moment. Now, you see in here, try to get this light in for you. The groove that we're looking for is that piece right next to the screwdriver. In here is where the wire sits. Now, for it to operate, try and get this right for you. As it slides back, it's going to push this across. As it slides forwards, it'll pull it back. Very simple mechanism. But with the coil, which is here, it gets energized one way or the other, and that magnet in this plastic piece is pulled to this end, or it's pulled from there to that end, depending which end of the coil is energized. So, might sound a bit technical for some of you. For those who understand, you'll find, oh yeah, it's dead easy. So that part up here works, this part here is refusing to work. So, see if I can bring this in a bit for you. Oops. Let's spin this around a little. Now, to get into this area, let's see if I zoom out a little. Oops, wrong way. I've got my viewfinder facing me, so everything's in reverse. So, up here, this little piece here is a clip. Using the flat blade screwdriver, you push it back towards here. You'll see how easy this is done. Clip there, and there. So that's just drop down. Bring that up a bit. Now, the two pins you see up here go top side. Now, if I can do this to hold on to things without any more issues. Pull that plastic piece out and put that down here for the moment. You may be able to see, you may not be able to see it, bear with me. Yeah, that's what's changing the point blades, that little piece of plastic. So if they get broken, you're stuffed. So with this part of it apart, flip that over, and you should be able to see now that these two point blades are now individual. So I'm used to calling it vegetable. Don't worry about that, that's my sense of humour from years ago. Now forget the pair of tweezers. I apologise for some of you thinking this is boring, but if you've got Kato Uni track, you can now see what is happening. Now you've got to remember, folks, this is N scale, 1 to 160, 2 mil to the foot. And basically what we're looking at is servicing and or repairing the Kato point. So hopefully some of you are going to find this very interesting. Hopefully nobody will find it too boring. So you can see here I've got both point blades lifted up and out of the way. Whoops, this one wants to keep springing back. And in here, in this slot, get it right, that's where all the movement's been done. So I shall just zoom out for a moment. There, you got it right. Woohoo! So you can see what I'm doing. Get these two to spring back out of the way, I'll be happy. Once I get the 2 point blades out of my way, we can then get stuck into what I need them to do. Now these tend to work alright, but if there's anything to stop the blades from moving properly, or if there's anything that's gone into the slot, like PVA glue Dovo, or any of that static grass, any scenery materials, or whatever, that will prevent the points from running free. By running free, I refer to the fact that there's a restriction happening within this slot. I'm just trying to chip out any glue that I may have missed from previous. And hopefully it'll free these bloody points up. This was the last one that I did the other night when I was out here in my workshop. However, because of wanting to go to bed, being that it was late, I thought, bugger, I'll come back to it later. All the rest have been a success, so this one here needs a bit more work doing to it. And this little piece that changes the point blades, you may not be able to see what I'm doing, but I can, only just. But yeah, some people can call me Mr. Magoo, but don't worry. Okay, just making sure there's nothing in the plastic clip. No glue, no nothing. And the other thing to look at with these, it's along the top of the sleepers. Because if you go along the top of the sleepers and there's something there stopping it, the blades won't just spring nicely where they need to go. So, I just operate that, it's free. Operate that, that's nice and free. Sometimes out here, and I'll bring this back up to the camera, you might be able to see the two pivots up here. Now if they don't pivot freely, you're going to have problems. So basically, I'll get this light into there for you. That little piece in there has to work nicely, and that one into there needs to work freely as well. So these are the areas of concern. Back here at the pivots, make sure they're running free. You gotta make sure up here is running free, and then everything else in between these areas need to have no obstructions to them. So what I'm going to attempt again, for what I can understand, these plastic inserts don't have a right or wrong way around to face. As long as the two pegs face downwards and through the holes, that should be right. Bit of patience on these sort of things goes a long way. And there it is. It is back black. And so that seems to run nice and free now. So all going well. And that bit of spring wire you saw a moment ago, give you some idea. Can you see it there on my hand? May or may not. But it's that thin, it's like a strand of hair. I suppose it's a bit hard to see on here. Till I get the light reflecting off it. I know the camera's finding it difficult to see. But on one end of it, see if we can bring this on up to show you. It's not easy, is it? See there? It actually has an L-shaped bend on it. That L-shaped bend, and these fall out, have a certain place to go. And luckily the other half is still in here, so pull that out. The L-shaped end, can you see this little black plastic area? It has to lock in underneath there. So it's got to come in, lock in underneath there for movement. So as we're in the process of trying to sort this now, I do have a habit of falling out. That's why I didn't want to have to spill anything, because it can be a pain in the ass to put it back. That has plenty of movement, which is fantastic. Now, the underneath piece, the retaining clip, which I undid earlier, that's it there. Again, might not be easy to see, but we are dealing with a small black plastic part. And for me, trying to get some light onto the subject, just trying to make sure there's no glue, no nothing that'll be stopping it, no bits of protruding plastic, anything that might be causing this to not run silky smooth. Apologise if some of you are still finding this a little bit boring, but with those of you out there who have this sort of thing and wish that you could fix it yourself. So not altogether throwaway disposable type of toy. They are a unit that can be fixed. Sometimes things like this you've got to check it every step of the way, just to ensure that it's got to do what you need it to do. There is a right and wrong way to put this retaining clip. Getting it on there is a challenge in itself. Well, throw everything everywhere, that'd be bloody right. Probably find some of you out there laughing going, ha ha, tough shit. Right. Bit embarrassing shit like this happens, but shit happens and then you step in it. Otherwise there's nothing you can do about it, just get on with it and get it right. Ah, I couldn't see it. Okay, let's do it this way. Slide it onto here first. Now, I've actually got it on the wire, so there's the part we're after. One part that came out I didn't want coming out, it's now going to have to be put back in, and that's a pain in the bum. Because this piece decided it was going to come out as well. It's one of those things that I think, well, great, if it didn't have to come out, I'd be happier. Oh, this cantankerous fucking piece of wire. Get in there, damn One thing about model railways, folks, it's a bit like working on a car. You learn new swear words just about every day. Right. Perfect. Almost. Now, while this piece is out, bring this up to you. You may or may not be able to see the magnet that's in the end here. There it is, right near my finger. At the other end is the other magnet. No, the camera's not liking this. You can see both magnets hopefully in this light. And they're the two magnets that get attracted to that coil. For the manual operations, as we flip this over, see the little sliding tag, which is right here. Now, at the other end of this piece of plastic, you may not see the little step on the end of the plastic. That's what's actuating the switch. If that gets broken off, yeah, well, you've got problems. Unless you can find a way to repair that, then you're half in luck. Get in there, you turd. Right. Now, one of my other most used items in my workshop, Labelle 108 oil. Fantastic for working on locomotives and carriages. Now in Australia this is about $18, well between $15 and $18 a bottle depending which hobby shop you go to. A little needle thing with a cap on it. It's virtually the same as the Singer sewing machine oil, but I think the Singer sewing machine oil is a lot cheaper. However, without knowing the origins, I can't say that it is the same. All I know is that it's very similar too. Colour wise it looks the same. Just put a little drop onto the siding piece of plastic. I'm doing this on the underside. I'm just going to work that in a little. Only a couple of drops is all you need. And hopefully that should be free enough to fully actuate. And it's not doing fully. It's working partially. Sometimes you may have to work these things quite a fair bit to get them right. So I shall put a bit on each pivot just to ensure that these are running free. And I'll put a bit on the top side where the movement is required. And hopefully I keep actuating this backwards and forwards until I'm happy with it, until I don't have to physically move the point blades. So if I get a 90 to 95% accuracy on this, I'm happy. 100% is even what the goal should be. But it's getting closer. There is freedom back here. Just trying to get this to do what it's supposed to do. That's the goal. Just going to put a slight kink in this bit of wire. The idea of putting a kink in the wire is more so to try to get it to line up with this slot. Now, if it comes up and at an angle as it passes through that plastic, it's going to keep being biased one way. But if I straighten that in line in the centre, so it comes in a slight kink, it'll pull it across. Just doing one way more so than the other now. A bit better. Seeing activeness on both directions. Now we can do this without any issues. Awesome. Spotting a little bit of extra crap here that shouldn't be there. So real-time footage servicing this bloody thing. Give you an idea on how long it's going to take you to do it. Oh, absolutely awesome. I'm going to bring this up to the camera again. Alright, now to show you what it's doing. That's come across, back. At the moment it hasn't fully closed, but yeah, it has now. Let's try again. By actuating the points like that, you can see we're actually getting somewhere with it. Yeah. When these are actively operated by the point motor, should actually get that across. That's within ballpark. Could go a little bit better. So I'm still able to physically kick that across. Goes perfectly to the branch, but not fully to the threader head. So, because I'm within ballpark, it's about 95% of where it needs to be. So once I can alleviate this last little bit, I'll be happier, and it'll be running at 100% again. What I'm currently doing, which even though you may not be able to see via the camera, I'm putting the point of my knife blade underneath where the travel of the point blade is. I'm just lifting it slightly, trying to ensure there's nothing on the underside of the point blade that is jamming it. Goes to the branch beautifully, but not quite back to the straight. If the point blade's not closing hard against the stock rail, which is the outer pair, if it's not going to go hard that way or hard that way, trains coming into it can derail. whether you're using Pico switch points, whether you're using Kato Uni switch points or any other switch point, no matter what brand it is, no matter whether it's HO or in scale, you make sure you don't interfere with movement of the point blades, otherwise you will have hassles. Certainly a lot closer to what it was needing to be. You may have to just flick it backwards and forwards countless times till it actuates properly. That's getting it. That's getting it. Yes. Actively working both directions. Once you can get these things freed up, you're laughing. Fault-free operations. Perfect. It's like trying to unjam a seized mechanism. So basically, what I can do, apart from listening to the plane flying over, now put all these screws back in. Oh, come here, you bloody thing. Pain in the bum. There's usually an idea, anything like this you do the screws up to firm, so if you have to make any adjustments you can do it. And then once you've done the screws to firm, double check things. Once you've double checked things, it's still operating properly, you can go through, tighten them up for the last little bit. Trying to do even tensions, you can work two, then the other two, one, opposite, 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 until you get it right. All those nipped up nice and firm. You don't want to go over tight, just nice and firm. Oh, absolutely perfect. Perfect. Yeah, check this out. For the point that was buggered that didn't want to operate, you can see that now. Several operations, backwards and forwards. That should operate as required. So there you go. For those of you who don't understand switch points, even though you've just learnt a little bit about them, these two rails, which is this outer rail and that outer rail, they're your stock rails. These are your feed rails. That there is your frog. Don't know why they call it a frog, but that's what they call it. Either side you got your check rails, and these check rails help line the wheel flange through the frog. So that's what's guiding or steering your wheels, is that little gap in there. So these are your point blades. I've just been trying to get operating. And let's just double check this from a different point of view. Point blades are working. Down here, the part which links both of these together is called your tie bar. And that's your entry or exit point of your point. So that'll be your main and branch. So whichever way you look at that, that is a left-hand Kato Uni point. That's, as I say, for end scale. One more thing to do, away from spread and stretch my guts. PK track eraser rubs your track away and you'll be no more track left. It also classed as a track cleaning eraser. And this sort of thing I don't like having to do, not because it's a crappy thing to do, but all the bits of your track rubber end up on your track. When it comes to doing point blades, it's best to work away from your point blades if you can, because if you spear into it you can stuff your blades up. Going on to the thin edge of the wedge. It's one blade done. So changing it so the gap is open, you can do the other one. Yeah, see the difference in rails now. A bit shinier? I should think so. Now if you're into model railways and you're just new into it, something to remember, whether you're running DC or DCC. DCC is what I call dumb cut control, but DCC is actually digital command control. And with that, if you've got dirty rails or dirty wheels, your DCC chips go, nah, can't read the signal. And because I can't read the signal, it goes, nah, can't do nothing for you. So folks, if you're running DCC, it is important that you have clean rails and clean wheels. Cleaning wheels, there's a variety of methods on doing that. If somebody wants me to do a video on cleaning locomotive wheels, carriage wheels, etc., both powered and unpowered, I'll do a video on that for you. Please leave me a comment on my YouTube channel, or you can go via my Kev's Workshop website, which is members.westnet.com.au/tilde-locoman. Otherwise you can do a Yahoo Google search for that and you should find it quite easily. But there is a freshly serviced and cleaned point, which will go in with the rest of them. So that's 4 left-handers plus 2 right-handers. All serviced, done, dusted, cleaned, ready for service. So I hope this video has been entertaining. I hope it's not been too boring for you. I hope you've learnt something, and I'm just going to tilt my camera up a bit, look at the workbench.